You know, it's surprising how many folks, when they retire, suddenly feel like a ship without a rudder. I mean, your whole career is done. And did you know that not having that sense of purpose in retirement can actually take a toll on your health, even how long you live? It's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of us. All this new free time, this quiet that just settles in after years and years of routine and being responsible. I was right there in that quiet, kind of empty space, wondering, is this really it? Retirement. That word's supposed to bring up pictures of sunny beaches, easy rounds of golf, and just endless freedom, right? And hey, for some people, maybe it really is like that. But for me, and I bet for a lot of others, it was, well, different. My career wasn't just how I made a living. It was a huge part of who I was. It set the beat for my days. It threw challenges at me that kept my mind sharp. And it was where I felt like I knew what I was doing and, yeah, like I was needed. When that beat stopped, the silence was just deafening. Those first few weeks, they were kind of a novelty. Sleeping in, finally getting to those chores, loving that no alarm clock was yelling at me. But pretty soon, this weird restlessness started to sneak in. The days, which used to be so full and purposeful, now just stretched out in front of me, huge and strangely empty. My wife was still working part-time, my buddies had their own things going on, and the house, which used to be my sanctuary, started to feel a bit like a fancy cage. I remember just staring out the window, my coffee getting cold, and this feeling of, well, like I didn't matter anymore, just washing over me. It wasn't just being bored, it was deeper. It was like being cut loose, like stepping off a speeding train onto a platform where nobody was waiting. Who was I? Without the job title, without the deadlines, without those daily fires to put out. It felt like the me I'd known for 40 years had retired right along with my job. A lot of retirees go through this, I think. This nagging feeling of not being quite satisfied, wanting something more, but having no idea what that something is. Those quiet days, which at first felt like such a gift, turned into these long, samey stretches of time. I'd be done with the newspaper by 9 a.m. I'd tidy up a house that was already tidy, and then, what? The TV was a distraction for a bit, but it wasn't really grabbing me. All that energy I used to pour into my career now had nowhere to go. It was an unsettling feeling, just drifting like that. I wasn't miserable, not really. But this growing sense of not having a purpose started to hang over those golden years. I was genuinely worried I'd become one of those statistics, someone who finds retirement less like a new chapter and more like a slow, quiet fade. Then, one Tuesday, something changed. It wasn't anything dramatic, no lightning bolt from the sky. It was much quieter, almost by accident. My wife had been gently nudging me to find something to do. She'd leave brochures on the counter for local clubs, art classes, volunteer stuff. I'd glance at them, nod, and then they'd quietly make their way into the recycling bin. It wasn't that I was trying to be difficult, I had zero motivation. Nothing really sparked my interest. It felt like trying to pick a whole new career when I was still kind of mourning the old one. But this one Tuesday, I was cleaning out the garage, a job I'd put off for months, which tells you how much get up and go I had back then. Tucked away in a dusty corner, under a stack of old newspapers, was a box. It was a starter kit for, well, let's just call it a creative craft, something I'd gotten as a well-meaning but quickly forgotten birthday gift years ago. It really could have been anything. A beginner's painting set, a wood carving kit, maybe even one of those learn to code books. The actual hobby isn't the hero of this story. Deciding to actually do something with it, that was the key. Normally, I would have just sighed, added it to the donation pile, and moved on. But that day, for reasons I still can't quite pin down, I stopped. Maybe it was just how incredibly dull my life had become. Maybe it was a faint flicker of some old curiosity from when I was younger. Or maybe it was just the universe giving me a little nudge. I picked up the box, blew the dust off it, and instead of just tossing it aside, I opened it. Inside were tools I didn't recognize and instructions that looked like they were in a different language. My first thought was, this is silly. I don't have the patience for this. I really hesitated, almost closed it right back up. Who was I kidding? I was a former profession, not an artist, not a craftsman, not a whatever the hobby entailed. But then, another thought popped into my head, quieter, but a bit more stubborn. Well, what else are you going to do today? Stare out the window again. And that was it. That was the simple decision. No big plan to reinvent myself, no search for some deep, meaningful purpose, just a small, almost reluctant choice to give it a shot, to spend an hour, maybe two, trying to figure out this forgotten box of possibilities. That was the one small decision I mentioned in the title of this video. It felt like nothing at the time, but looking back, it was the tiny pebble that started an avalanche of good things. It just goes to show it's never too late to try something new, to explore those things you might have tucked away. So, that first try at the hobby, it was awkward, frustrating even. The instructions might as well have been written in hieroglyphics. My hands, which were used to tools of former profession or tasks, felt clumsy and just wouldn't cooperate. There were plenty of times, especially in that first week, when I was so tempted to just give up, to shove that box back into its dusty corner and call it a failed experiment. But something kept pulling me back. Maybe it was just plain stubbornness, or maybe it was that first tiny spark of a challenge that my brain, which was starving for something to chew on, really craved. Or perhaps it was just the simple, quiet satisfaction of focusing on something real, something other than how adrift I felt. Slowly, and I mean slowly, I started to get the hang of it. I watched a ton of online tutorials. Thank goodness for the internet, right? And I found these online groups of people who were into the same thing. You know, technology can be a fantastic helper when you're learning new things and trying to connect with others. My first attempts were definitely not masterpieces. In fact, a few of them were pretty laughable. But with every little step forward, every tiny bit of progress, something inside me started to change. I wasn't just killing time anymore. I was actually learning. I was creating things, even if they weren't perfect. Just doing something that makes you think, like picking up a new skill, really does help keep your mind sharp. I started setting aside a specific time each day for my new hobby. It became this little anchor in what felt like a huge, empty sea of retirement. The garage, which used to just remind me of chores I was avoiding, turned into my little workshop, a quiet place to focus. I actually found myself looking forward to these times. The rest of the world would just fade away as I got lost in what I was doing. It turns out, hobbies where you get to be creative can be really calming. They let you express yourself and find a bit of inner peace. And slowly, other good things started to happen. The first was this great feeling of accomplishment. Finishing a small project, no matter how simple, gave me a kick I hadn't felt since my working days. Then, I noticed I could focus better and believe. The quiet days weren't empty anymore. They were full of things I was excited to do. That feeling of drifting started to fade, replaced by this gentle sense of purpose. It wasn't the high-stakes, high-pressure purpose of my career, but something quieter, more personal, and incredibly fulfilling. My little hobby was turning into more than just a way to pass the time. It was leading me somewhere. It was a path to new skills, new friends, and a new version of me. The change wasn't overnight, but it was huge. My retirement wasn't a blank space anymore. It was a canvas, and this simple hobby had handed me the brush. Looking back, it's pretty amazing how that one, almost accidental decision to open a dusty old box changed my whole retirement. What started as me just fiddling around turned into something I'm genuinely passionate about, and it completely reshaped my life. The biggest thing was finding a sense of purpose again. After so many years of my career defining who I was, this hobby gave me a new way to see myself, a new way to feel involved, and to get that rewarding feeling of having achieved something. Those quiet days that used to drag on and feel so empty, they filled up with things I couldn't wait to do. I had projects I was excited about, new techniques I wanted to learn, ideas I wanted to try. This wasn't about killing time. It was about using my time in a way that felt good, that felt joyful. Having a hobby gives you something to aim for, and it can make you feel like you're contributing. Even in small ways, my days found a new rhythm, not one set by a boss, but one I chose for myself, one that clicked with this new part of me. The adventure came in ways I didn't expect. It wasn't about jetting off to faraway places, though that's a great way to spend retirement if that's your thing. My adventure was all about exploring my own creativity, tackling the challenge of learning new skills, and finding a community. Every new project felt like a little journey with its own hurdles and its own rewards. There was a real thrill in seeing an idea start to take shape, in figuring out a tricky part, and in finally getting the result I was hoping for. And the connection, that was maybe the most surprising and the best part of it all. I'd always been more of an independent type, and most of my friends were from work. This hobby threw open the doors to completely new groups of people, swapping tips, admiring what others were making, even working together on community projects. Those things built real friendships. I found myself laughing more, sharing more, and feeling like I belonged, which was something I'd really been missing. So, what did I learn from all this? I learned that who you are isn't set in stone. You can change and grow at any age. I learned that purpose doesn't have to be some huge, world-changing thing to make you feel good. You can find it in the quiet focus of a task, in the fun of making something, or in sharing your excitement with people who get it. I learned that it's truly never too late to learn something new, to grow a bit, and to surprise yourself. My experience showed me that getting involved in something new really can make you feel less stressed and more satisfied. It definitely boosted my mood, kept my mind busy, and even got me moving a bit, depending on what I was working on. This simple hobby didn't just fill my days, it made them richer, and it brought a kind of energy and excitement to my retirement that I just hadn't seen coming. So, what's the main message here? It's not really about the specific hobby I found. It could have been anything: gardening, learning to play an instrument, writing, volunteering, taking photos. There are so many possibilities out there. The real magic is in just being willing to try something new, to take that first little step, even if you're feeling unsure or like you're not qualified. If your retirement is feeling a bit too quiet, maybe lacking a bit of that spark, I really, truly encourage you to explore. Think back to what used to fascinate you before life got so incredibly busy. What were you always curious about? Is there a skill you secretly wished you had? Don't just brush those little thoughts aside. Those are little whispers of things you might end up loving. It's really about taking charge and shaping a retirement that feels good to you, that fits with what you care about. And remember, you don't need some big, elaborate plan. Sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest, most ordinary decisions. The goal isn't to become an expert overnight, or even ever. It's about the doing of it, the getting involved, the fun of finding something new. Enjoying a hobby can really help keep your spirits up and your mind healthy as you get older, leading to fewer down days and just more happiness and satisfaction with life. Here are a few tips that worked for me, and maybe they'll help you too. First, think about what you actually like and what you're good at. What genuinely gets you excited? What sounds like it would be fun, not just another chore? Don't be afraid to revisit things you liked as a kid or something you tried once and gave up on. Second, start small. You don't have to dive into some massive project right away. A beginner's kit, a single class, an introductory book, those are all great ways to ease in. The idea is to build up your confidence and actually enjoy it. Third, don't forget about technology. There are tons of online tutorials, forums, and groups for almost any hobby you can think of. It's an amazing way to learn and connect with people. I know I found it super helpful. And finally, think about joining a group or taking a class. There's something really motivating and fun about learning and sharing with other people. It's a great way to meet new folks and stay active. Be open to trying different things. Not every hobby is going to be the perfect fit, and that's totally fine. The whole point is to explore. If the first thing you try doesn't quite click, try something else. The main thing is to stay curious and be open to new experiences. I'd love to hear from you. What hobbies have you picked up or maybe rediscovered in retirement? What things are bringing you joy and a sense of purpose these days? Share your stories in the comments below. You never know, your experience might just be the nudge someone else needs to start their own journey of reinvention. Retirement really doesn't have to be an ending. It can be a fantastic new beginning, a chance to reinvent yourself, to find new things that bring you joy, passion, and connection. For me, one simple dusty box in the garage held the key to turning those quiet, adrift days into an exciting adventure that's full of purpose. It showed me that it truly is never too late to learn, to grow, and to find a new way to shine. The chance for a really vibrant, fulfilling retirement is there for the taking. All it might take is that one little decision to try something new. So, take that step. You just never know what incredible journey is waiting for you. If this story connected with you, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe for more on living a fulfilling life, and don't forget to share it with someone who might be looking for their own retirement reinvention. Thanks for watching.